Let's go with our hello, everybody. We're working on it. Maybe we.
It's time, Detroit. It's time, Detroit. It's time.
Welcome to the 5th chapter, talking about Detroit sports. Now, here's Dennis Fithian.
Welcome in, joined by Adrian Myers and Pete Finelli as we get ready to get things underway. Detroit Sports Talk. It is presented by CashToBitcoin.com as we get ready to take off on this Tuesday. Gentlemen, how are you?
Great.
Doing good. Back on campus. Still adjusting to the new schedule. My body's a little exhausted, but I'm excited to do the show tonight.
Well, I was excited on Sunday night watching football with the chance that there was going to be a tie, and I wanted the Raiders to win because I didn't want them. I wanted the leverage for Jim Harbaugh to go down. The games. I think the Chargers are going to be able to come back. They did. It was a crazy game, but you guys actually are both Steelers fans, and you had a 6% chance of getting into the playoffs at the beginning of the day, and it still felt like you had not that much of a chance, heading into overtime. But there you were. Huh? I thought there was going to be a tie.
I mean, you look at the Raiders Chargers game. Obviously, that's crazy, and with the whole overtime almost going to tie thing, kind of overshadowing the fact that Jacksonville came out and beat up on Indianapolis, which was kind of like this is never going to happen. So why even bother? Worry about if the Chargers and the Raiders tie, or if Pittsburgh manages to get the last win against Baltimore. Like, that game was, the fact that happened was ridiculous.
That's what I said. Just that last drive when Justin Herbert tied the game, he was throwing just straight dimes, and he threw that one at the end of the game as the clock expired to get the overtime. I was just like, oh, here we go.
I wonder how many times it happens for people that now that gambling's legal. This has happened to me once or twice. You guys remember back when I bet the Dolphins outright against the Ravens, and I didn't mean to. And it was night. I was getting free money. The next thing you know, I'm betting $19 on the Dolphins, and they won. So it was a complete luck. It's not the way that I wanted to go. I wanted to play the Ravens, but I was playing a parlay that I won with the Lions and the Jaguars, and there was another team in there that was a dog that I put in there, but I took all the points and the lines, but I also took each team separately. And when I thought that I was just betting $1 on Jacksonville, I just bet 10 cents. Now, big deal. But I wonder that people like that, they bet $100 or maybe even $10. Sometimes they're only betting $1 and coming back. I mean, does it ever happen to you guys?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I bet Alabama against Georgia the first time they played in the SEC championship game. I said, hey, let's give Georgia a shot here. They look ready to go. And the Georgia team I seen last night, the Georgia team I expected to see in the first matchup. So it's just weird how it works, man. Betting is crazy.
I've never had any price difficulties. Like, I'm always betting how much I think I have. But it happened one week. I put together a little parlay of teams, just like money line teams. And I went back and looked at the thing. And it was all money line for halftime scores instead of the final score. I'm like, I didn't put that in, so I wasn't sure how that happened. But either way, I would have lost.
Well, you're supposed to be 21 to be gambling, Pete. I mean, that's the first strike against you. We're going to be talking about the NFL and the Lions. We'll get to our 3 stars in the world of sports as well, coming up in the 5th chapter. And that's when we have our book. And let's take a look at that book if we can. And that is brought to you by our title sponsor, and that is CashToBitcoin.com. There it is. You see the coach down there with his Michigan hat on, and he's thinking about it right now. He's thinking about CashToBitcoin.com. You think about the cryptocurrency world. You're also thinking about all those job openings in the NFL, and there's lots to be excited about, like Jim Harbaugh coming back to Michigan, and also CashToBitcoin.com. That's where they come in. They're one of the fastest and largest growing crypto ATMs in Michigan. Go check them out on Twitter at CashToBitcoin.com. That's cash, the number 2, Bitcoin.com. CashToBitcoin.com's ATMs and terminals offer safe and secure transactions. So get it going. Find an ATM and check it out. Now is the time, folks. Remember it and use it. It's CashToBitcoin.com.
Hopping into chapter 1, fellas. Last night was the final college football playoff game of the season between Alabama and Georgia. So I'm going to let Dennis take it away on what his takeaways was from last night's game.
Well, my takeaways is that I thought I had the wrong side because Bama looked pretty good. I mean, Bama's defense looked good, and it looked like Georgia was struggling to do anything offensively. They did hit a play to Pickens there in the first half, but even at halftime, it looked like it was going to be the Tide. And then what I thought would go down is the biggest play, and the refs getting involved, where Stetson Bennett had his arm hit, the ball went off to the side, the guy kind of casually got over there and grabbed it. And they ended up calling it a fumble and a recovery there. And then I thought it was over for Georgia. But you know what? Got to give it up to Stetson Bennett. The fourth, the combination of the Tide losing Jamison Williams, already having Mechie out, you could tell that was a big factor. And the other thing they were picking, you got to give it to Georgia. I mean, their game plan, hey, let's go. It was a free play when they ended up hitting that big one to the freshman wide receiver when Bennett had the free play. But, that was the biggest play of the game. And it was one of those things where they were picking on that corner there too. And it was, Georgia was a lot like Michigan against Ohio State. That was their nemesis. So it always felt like, and I'm sure Georgia fans, even when that guy got the pick and Kirby Smart wanted him to go down, he ended up taking it to the house for a pick six. I think maybe you started breathing a little bit easier there, but maybe not even to the final gun until Bama was still slinging it around. What about you, Pete? What did you think of the game?
I mean, you got to give a ton of credit to the Georgia defense. They came back to what we've seen for the entire season and not what we saw against Alabama the first time, especially with that, bend but don't break type defense. But the only touchdown they let up was off that fumble. And besides that, it was all field goal. So, they kept the score nice and low for the offense to eventually get rolling when, it started off pretty slow, a couple field goals, but eventually it got there in the second half, mostly fourth quarter. And, also, Bryce Young, definitely not one of his best games this season. He had 2 interceptions. I mean, it's tough when, your team can't run the ball against that Georgia D line, with his running back only averaging 3.1 yards a carry, and he's forced to throw it 57 times. So, and, he's a young guy. He's only a sophomore. So that was tough compared to, Bennett, who's got a little more experience. But overall, it really revolved around that Georgia defense who, again, all season we've seen why they're the best in the league, and they managed to come out this week as opposed to last time they played Alabama.
Man, for me, I did pick Bama to win this game. It's always tough for me to bet against Nick Saban, but like I said, you guys are right. Give Georgia a lot of credit. When it got tough last night, they found a way to bounce back. Kirby Smart was 0-4 against Nick Saban, but found a way to finally get it when it mattered most. Now 1-4 with the national championship, first time in 41 years. I'm just looking at this Georgia defense and just in amazement how fast these guys are, how quick they are off the ball. And it just goes to show me that the SEC will continue to dominate college football, and this will continue to be really a regional sport right now in the South, as both teams are from the SEC. And it just shows me, look at the speed at a defensive line, a linebacker. You got 365-pound guys running 4.8s. This is insane. Their last 4 classes they've had I believe almost 30 5-star recruits. So it just shows you how far away even Michigan is, or even other teams are from competing for really a national championship besides Clemson. But they're really a South team. So you give me. You can't go ahead, Brooklyn. I'm sorry.
The Bulldogs. It's a Bulldogs.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you that we got a long way to go. And I mean, even with expansion, I still think it doesn't going to matter. But the SEC is going to continue to dominate college football from here on out for a while to be. But it was a great game, though, no doubt about that. I was happy for Georgia. They finally conquered Alabama. But guess what? Bryce Young and Will Anderson will be back next season, so they'll probably be possibly back in the national title game again. And Jamison Williams, by the way, guys, I just seen it, torn ACL. It looked bad on the field, so another wide receiver goes down with the ACL.
Yeah, you know what? For the foreseeable future, you're right about the SEC and everything else. Although the name, image, and likeness, if it could be a little bit of a game. I don't know if there's such thing as a little bit of a game changer. A game changer, for teams like Michigan who haven't gone into the gray area. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to take more than 1 year to chip away at everything. And they always say, who was in first, and Bama and Georgia, and those guys were in first, and plus they're football crazy down there. But it could help out teams in the Big Ten a little bit more. This is a question for you guys. Here's Sideshow Raj getting in. Stetson Bennett IV could go back to Georgia. I heard Kirby Smart saying that he does, but I don't know where else he's going to go. I mean, if he goes in the draft, I don't really see him as an NFL prospect. But Raj, asking you guys, what about going from Big Ben to little Stenson?
I'm going to double down and say absolutely not on that one. Not even a draftable player in my eyes. A good college football player. Don't get it wrong. No offense to him, but he doesn't have the arm strength or the athletic ability to contend with all those guys in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree. He did his team well. He's obviously they won the championship, and for Georgia, he was the quarterback that they needed. But going into the league, he's just not that much. He's just not that good of a player. I mean, he's serviceable for a college team, and that's about it. I don't want to see him on my favorite NFL team.
Here's David saying the SEC is just better than everyone else. That's why Cincy and Michigan couldn't hang. You don't like it, you can beat them. Yeah, we saw it here. Like what's going on right now, the talent there on the field. I mean, it was night and day. Cincy and Michigan had good years, but there's a ceiling right now. Like if this is going to continue how it is, that Michigan had their year this year, winning the Big Ten, and obviously beating Ohio State, unless they do, bring in a big time haul of players. This is the way that it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you see Riccidi's talking about all the 5-stars going down south, and obviously he mentioned that you got to change that, but there really is no way to, be like, all right, you only get, you get 2 guys each year, and you got to let, some of the Big Ten or wherever, let those teams have some of these guys. There's no way you can really enforce that and make it seem fair still. It's just that the best teams will get the best recruits, and they'll continue to be the best teams. And, you get teams like Michigan who they come out and they have a good year, but when it comes time to play teams in the SEC like Bama, it's just, despite how good of their season they had, they're still not going to be able to match up.
Real quick, guys. A tweet I seen from a national sports guy. 2018, 8 5-stars. 2019, 3 5-stars. 2020, 5 5-stars. 2021, 2 5-stars. This is Georgia's 5 stars in the last since 2018. So that goes to tell you that they're just pumping guys out, and the depth is crazy. That's why I didn't feel bad for Bama when Jamison Williams got hurt, because they have all these guys that could go start for other lower level Power 5 teams. So just plug and play pretty much at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. Bama had 2 receivers from their squad drafted in the first round last year, and 2 from the year previous. Like they got a ton of guys in the depth.
Yeah, and they're not going to flip it again. Like maybe name, image, and likeness. Michigan's able to grab 3 or 4 5-stars or a couple more 4-stars, and it does balance it out a little bit, because what Adrian just said is a huge discrepancy. Sorry. And if you get it a little bit more like this, maybe you got that even playing field, and if that can continue on, maybe you can somehow get it where it would be even up, where you're coming in. Michigan's got a lot of money. A lot of schools have a lot of money, and now they can spend it. Before it was always like, no, I don't want to get involved in that. So the SEC's like, okay, you guys don't want to get involved. Now they're saying, hey, you can get involved. I mean, like everything that everybody was complaining about, oh, they're dirty, they're doing this, they're doing that. Now you can do it, and it's not dirty. You can just do it. So either do it, or we'll just keep talking about, just getting there is the accomplishment. There you go. One more from Ricidi, who says he's sick and tired of people saying the SEC is so good. BS. They have to come up and get those 5-star players one way or the other, bottom line. There you go. Ricidi's sick of it. A lot of people are sick of that. The way to get it done, pay them. That's how you get it done.
Yeah.
Straight cash.
Straight cash, homie.
Get it going. All right, let's get to chapter 2.
All right, chapter 2, fellas. Now we all know what this weekend is. It's Super Wild Card Weekend. So we got some of our favorite NFL storylines this week. I'll let you go first, Pete. What you got on topic?
Well, I'll tell you what. Before I get into my storyline teams, I was just like my personal favorite storyline is that my Super Bowl picks from the beginning of the season currently are the number 1 seed in the AFC and the number 1 seed in the NFC, Packers and Titans. So I like the look of that. We'll see what we get when we get to the Super Bowl. But for storyline, I think overall I got to just take the Raiders as an organization. They had a lot go on this year. They fired Gruden. There was the Ruggs incident. They had multiple players arrested from their team. Of course, John Madden recently passed. And despite all that, they managed to come together, squeeze into the playoffs, and they beat the Chargers last week in a crazy game. And I mean, maybe they'll make a run in the playoffs. Maybe they'll get knocked out by Cincinnati. Who knows? But either way, just a phenomenal story from that organization.
Yeah, to me, the now super wild card weekend is just how unpredictable it looks. I mean, besides the two seeds, the Chiefs are a big favorite. Sorry, guys, over the Steelers.
Okay.
Double digits, and the Bucs are big over the Eagles. So those look easy to pick. I mean, the Bucs, and we'll make our picks on Thursday when pick a beat shows up and we make the selections. But the other 5 games, I mean, you can make an argument for anybody that's like laying it down, like, that's a sure thing. I'm not really buying that it's a sure thing. It feels like the Chiefs and the Bucs are a sure thing. None of the other games, and what it means is it's going to be awesome that we're going to have. What do we got? 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then the first ever Monday night game here. It's going to be a great 3 days.
Absolutely.
That's my
story. Now looking through all these 6 playoff wild card matchups, 5 out of the 6 are rematches from the regular season, obviously. So I decided, I kind of going off what Pete said. I'm looking at this Raiders-Bengals game. The Bengals win the AFC North for the first time since 2015. The Raiders overcome just a dumpster fire organization from John Gruden and Henry Ruggs, Steve and Nate Hobbs. He still played in the game. Just a lot of stuff. And Derrick Carr has shown me a lot. So I've grown to like Derrick Carr a lot more over this season and shown he could be a franchise quarterback. But we got Derrick Carr versus Joe Burrow. They played in 1990 in the playoffs. The Bengals are looking for their first playoff win since 1991. I wasn't even born yet, not even probably thought of. But that's 8 straight losses for the Bengals in the playoffs. And we know what happened when Andy Dalton and company was there. So there's actually a lot of pressure, I believe, on Cincinnati to finally get a playoff victory. I think the Raiders are playing with house money going in there. They have nothing to lose. And we all ragged on Cincinnati for taking Jamar Chase over offensive tackle. And, hey, it paid out well for them. Now they need to get some protection for Joe Burrow coming into next season. But Jamar Chase is a stud. He's played phenomenal football. Joe Burrow just throws the ball up to him. And this is an exciting Cincinnati offense. I mean, what can I say? They destroyed us twice in the regular season. But this is a matchup I'm really excited for. And this is the first game Saturday at 4:30, so I will be locked in for this one.
Yeah, we'll include the Lions in there so you can make it 3 times. You're saying us is the Steelers, the Lions as well. And you're right. I think I said 5. There is one bye, and he says so we do have the 6 other teams in there, which makes up 6 games. So 4 of the games are not complete toss-ups because we know the point spread's anywhere from 3 to 4. But it's just those 2 games, though, that still, look like they're mismatches. The other games look extremely enticing and entertaining. We'll watch all of them anyways. So that's where I'm at with it. You ready to turn the page?
Let's do it.
That gets us to the Lions. And we know that the Lions, they were sitting there. I think, now that we're, patting ourselves on the back when it came down, I said, it would be just like the Colts to go out there and lose that game to Jacksonville, as I was saying that last Thursday. And the Lions will then go out and beat Green Bay, which is actually what happened. It's all right. We're taking a look at the draft here now, and not so much that number 2 pick. I think we all believe that it's going to be a defensive end selection for the Lions. But when you get back into the 20s, we told everybody that we would look at the wide receivers that could be available there. And Adrian with the breaking news, because I had Jameson Williams sitting there as the selection out of all these wideouts as the guy that I wanted to see the Lions take. But I don't want to take a guy that's not going to be available by game 1. I don't know. Do any of these guys, like none of them are Jamar Chase. If we were talking about that they were like Jamar Chase, they would be like considered to be top 10. Most of these guys are considered to be players that will be picked 20 and beyond, where the Lions will be selecting. So they have a shot at any wide receiver. Adrian, which wideout would you consider if you were the Lions with that second number 1 that they have this year?
Well, saying these guys, none of these guys are going to be Jamar Chase, but I think this is a really good crop of wide receiver class coming in. We're looking at anywhere from 5 to 6, I believe, wide receivers getting selected in the first round this year. But when I look at it, I break it down into more of a type who's going to fit the offense. Now, we know the Lions are probably going to have Jared Goff for another year. He can actually throw the ball down the field pretty well. So the Lions already have St. Brown, who's a smaller slot guy. So I'm looking at more of a big body, physical receiver. So when I look at this, there's a few guys who caught my attention. We have Drake London from USC, George Pickens from Georgia, and we have Treylon Burks from Arkansas. Now, for me, I would go with Drake London, 6'5", 210 out of USC. He had 88 catches for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns before his season got cut short by a fractured ankle, which I believe he'll be fine. He'll bounce back. With Antoine Randall L. coach as the wide receivers coach for the Detroit Lions, I believe they just need to sharpen his route skills up, get him better off the line of scrimmage. This guy has immense talent, a big body like Calvin Johnson. Last time we had a big body receiver like Calvin Johnson, you see what happened. He led the NCAA in the contested catches with 19, so it shows you he can get the ball at the high point of attack. I just like this guy for the Lions offense. It will make him very comfortable along with Hockenson and St. Brown and give the Lions an established number one receiver.
Pete, David's indicating don't lock in on that. We just said it as a throwaway that it was going to be a defensive end. He's saying not to lock in because Kenny Pickett looks pretty good, but right just for the sake of this chapter right here, we're locking in on a defensive end. Now we're talking wideouts. Adrian makes a compelling point looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rasidi's boy, and taking a look at the rest of these wideouts. You're looking for somebody that's going to complement Brown, or are you going to take the best available wide receiver there?
No, honestly, Adrian, you kind of hit exactly what I was going to get at with Drake London. I mean, 6'5", that's exactly how tall Calvin Johnson was. You like a big guy to go along with a smaller St. Brown. You pretty much said exactly what I was looking to say. But, I mean, you could go either one of the guys from Ohio State. Both of those two guys are fantastic. I mean, and if you want to wait a little bit later in the draft, there's some guy named Jahan Dotson that I'm a little familiar with. He might not be a bad pickup if you want to wait. Here's Raj bringing him up. But, yeah, no, the main guy I was looking at was definitely Drake London with just that sheer size. I think that would really complement the Lions and St. Brown.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know about enough about Burks. I mean, you guys mentioned the size of the Arkansas wide receiver, and then also London, 6'5" guy from USC. I haven't seen enough of those guys, and this is what happens. I end up getting a little biased on Big Ten guys. I do see what Dotson can do, and does he look like a number one wide receiver in the NFL? He does to me. Who really, though, look like it. Both of the wide receivers from Ohio State. I mean, Chris Olave, I've never seen a smoother wide receiver than Olave. Now, he's torn up, Michigan every time that he's played him. Not so much as last year, but the previous years. And, Garrett Wilson, unfortunately, he's only 6 feet tall, but I think he's the best wideout out of any of these guys. Now, I like Jameson Williams, but I like Garrett Wilson. And, you can get, if you're looking for a bigger target or a guy that can high point it where you get down into the end zone, just because of that, you can go later on. I think that you're looking for the best wide out there. And I think out of all of these guys, I think it is Garrett Wilson.
The problem I have, I think, like with the guys we're looking at, if the Lions are going to take a receiver, say it's at 27 right now as it stands, I think all those guys we're talking about probably will be gone. Maybe they slip, but it's for fit, and I think Drake London has the best potential, but I would take Dotson over a Garrett Wilson or a Chris Olave because his hands are phenomenal. He catches everything, and if you got Sean Clifford throwing you the ball with how inaccurate he was this season, that man does not drop a pass.
Yeah, it's going to be great, Pete. What's going to be great about there you see there's Garrett Wilson going into the end zone. Who knew that Rob was sitting on a bunch of Buckeye film here. But what's going to happen is we talk about the draft so much, and we're going to do it over the next couple months, is that there'll be a guy that we'll talk about that, he'll be gone, early teens. There's no way he's even making it past 15. There'll be a couple guys like that, and suddenly the Lions will be picking, in the late 20s, there'll be like 2 or 3 guys like, I can't believe that guy's there. So one or two of those wide receivers that we're talking about. And, I hear you saying they're all going to be gone. Don't be surprised if somebody falls right in your lap when you're sitting there at 27 saying, oh, yeah.
They got a lot of good options. I think they can't go wrong. I really think if they're going to take a receiver, I don't think they can mess this up at this point in time with all the talent that's there at the position this year.
Yeah, that's Garrett Wilson. The thing is, I remember Garrett Wilson saying during the Rose Bowl, he had a quote. He wasn't playing, but he was like, me and Olave are both really good. He's like, but, Smith and Jigba's like on another planet. Then he went out and, played like he was from another planet. You guys ready to turn the page and get to chapter 4? Pete's
We
favorite.
are. Let's do it.
Pete's chapter's favorite is 5, but Adrian's on number 4.
All right, fellas. Chapter 4. It is the continuing saga of Jim Harbaugh. Will he stay or will he go? Now, I'm going to go with the Michigan main man right here, Dennis, who has all the insight knowledge, so he can tell us what he thinks.
Well, I think Jim Harbaugh is either being really coy and like this, like, what a super move if he's just sitting back, if he's coming back to Michigan all along and he's just playing this out where he's just putting, his name in the limelight. He's deflecting all the attention off of that loss to Georgia. Nobody's talking about the loss to Georgia. Everybody's talking about just what a great, day it'll be if Jim Harbaugh signs a new contract with Michigan and comes back. It'll be the excitement like it was the first time that he came in. And what a stroke of genius if he does that. But each minute that ticks by, and with all these teams needing both GMs and coaches, and him being the biggest name out there, I got to believe that, if he's going to talk and he's going to listen and he's going to interview, and that's very dangerous. And there's a chance that he could take any of those jobs. Now he's got to be offered the jobs. There's a lot of people that think that, maybe he's not as attractive as you might think. And certainly he isn't for the Raiders right now, unless they get blown out by Cincinnati. Maybe they would be back in there looking for a coach right now, but add the Giants again to that list there, that they need a head coach and they need a GM. The Giants, I know people don't think the Dolphins because of what the owner said, but if Jim Harbaugh's made the decision, like, look, I'm going anyways, and he picks up the phone and tells Stephen Ross might be like, all right. They might have already come to that agreement, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
You got a few teams who would, fire their head coach. There's plenty of openings. He's got the experience, obviously, in the NFL. And, I mean, if he hasn't just come out and been like, I'm coming back to Michigan, I feel like, sure, he could be just playing them for a little extra money on a big contract. But the hesitation makes me think he might be looking at these NFL teams that he might try to sign with.
The hezzy?
Yeah, it's almost like being in a relationship and you decide, hey, I'm gonna go on a couple of dates. I'm gonna check the scene out a little bit and see if I like anything, and then you go back. But for him, I think I'm not surprised if he's gonna be flirting with teams, maybe not even the Raiders now, because I think they'll probably keep Basacci because he got him to the playoffs. I think the best probably candidate for him would be maybe the Chicago Bears. It's close to Michigan. He has some ties to the Bears. Miami, not so much. I don't think so. The Giants are a complete dumpster fire. But if he decides to take a job, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think for him, the biggest thing is it's not the money. It is this thing with the NIL, with the name, image, and likeness. Michigan has this stubbornness thing to where they don't want to be as not reluctant, but as like they don't want to be as out there with the NIL and especially the transfer portal. Hey, exhaust all your options, because if you really want to win a national championship, you're going to do what it takes to be up there with the Georgias. And you've seen Texas A&M's class, a historic class. They had like 8 or 9 5-star guys. Basically, they paid $20 million for a class. I mean, it's not going to happen every year, but you have to be willing to put your foot out there and take a chance. And if the boosters and the ADs and the presidents at Michigan want to be sticklers, then that's not going to get us far. I want to be right back where we were 2-3 years ago. And there's going to even be more pressure on him next year to go out there and perform at a high level as well. So I think he's going to stay, but will he entertain it? Yes.
Rob is alongside Alex Anzalone, his specialty, Jim Harbaugh. Rob, is Jim Harbaugh going to stay or go?
Oh, he's staying, no doubt. Sorry, I've been changing the background because it was bothering me. Harbaugh's staying. There's too much money. Look at that national title game last night. Michigan lost to the eventual national champions. Michigan State still doesn't even matter. Come on, he's staying. He's not leaving.
Little trash talk for Michigan State unexpectedly there, or maybe we should have expected a little shot from Rob at MSU.
Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah, now you get some light on you. You were expecting 5th chapter to come in.
Of course.
Now it's yours in the 4th.
I got the new background behind me coming too. Just stand back and stand by, baby.
I like the sound barrier things there too to bounce that.
I know that's $10 off of Amazon right there.
Hey, you know what? You sound the resonance of your voice. I mean, I can tell.
I had to redo everything. Look, I had to move the mic. It was getting in my way. and now I'm fixing this whole layout in the background that was bothering me. We're only at 3.
It looks pretty good. I don't know. You could get your 3 stars. I know last week we surprised you, but we'll see if you come up with any stars here. We get to the 5th chapter, and that is our 3 stars in the world of sports, locally or nationally. Pete, did you come up with 3?
I got 3 stars for you. Actually, technically more than 3 stars, because my number 1 star was just that entire Georgia defense. I mean, they played phenomenal. That was, absolutely the reason that they won that game. Number 2 was Debo Samuel, who, got help get those for the 49ers into the playoffs. He had a pass touchdown, a rush touchdown. He didn't have a receiving touchdown, but he did have 95 receiving yards. I mean, he was phenomenal, and he helped me win my fantasy championship, so I appreciate that from him. And then number 3 was Max Crosby from the Raiders, again, helping them squeeze into the playoffs right there.
EMU.
He was an absolute game wrecker. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's a local guy from Eastern Michigan.
Yes,
I don't even know if you knew that, Pete.
I did not.
Look at that. All right, Adrian, where are you looking at?
All right, let's get to my first star, and that is one Mike Tomlin. Now, this man has been getting all the hate in the world this season again. Every week I look up and the Steelers fans and crazy nutcases are calling for him to lose his job. This man's never had a losing season, and I'm going to say it again, another winning season with this putrid roster right now, especially on the offensive side of the ball. With, I believe we've had like 4 or 5 different guards play. It was guys I've never heard of. Ben Roethlisberger can't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. The defense has been carrying this team. He just finds a way to reach the guys and get to them, and it's proved that he's an elite coach in this league, and nobody's going to tell me any different. And he got him to the playoffs once again. So can you only imagine what he would do if we had a dynamic quarterback? So go Steelers. My second star goes to one other, Derrick Carr. Much kudos to this man. I've been kind of a hater on him a little bit. This year he's really grown on me for, like I've talked about earlier in the show, with being able to keep the guys together and having a great game Sunday night and getting the Raiders to the playoffs and helping my Steelers get in as well. So shout out to the Raiders. And number 3, let's go with my boy Kade Cunningham, a career high last night, 29 points, coming back down from 22 points to get the Pistons a win against one of the best teams in the West, the Utah Jazz. The Pistons are 4-2 in this new year. I know it doesn't mean a lot to a lot of fans, but you can actually see the team playing a lot better and him elevating his game and showing why he is a franchise player, in my opinion.
Good stuff. Rob, do you have a star or 2 or 3?
I mean, obviously it was oh, damn, I did that at the wrong time. Obviously, Dan Campbell. I mean, look at that win on Sunday. The Lions are set up for the future. I didn't realize the Pistons still existed because they're not relevant. But, yeah, baby. You guys are my stars right now because, actually, we're running a test on Gaines Media. So, yeah.
All right, Dan Campbell, number 1 star, number 2 star, and ours 3.
Number 3.
3 stars. All right, my number 3 star is going to go with the head coach of the Raiders, Rich Bisaccia. He may have made himself $35 million by getting that win if the Raiders end up keeping him. What a huge win by the Raiders coach. As you guys mentioned, I'm with Adrian on star number 2, Kade Cunningham, 18 of his career high, 29 in the 3rd in the victory last night over Utah. Pistons taking on the Bulls coming up tonight. So Cunningham rolling. You love to see that. And my number 1 star is a guy who I think was a 1 star, and that is the quarterback from Georgia, Stetson Bennett IV. They needed him. He came up with some big plays. He had an unspectacular first half. Some of those throws, but he got it done in the second half and led Georgia to their first title since 1980. Stetson Bennett IV, my number 1 star.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to say the Lions and the Jets will be coaching the Senior Bowl, so that is very big in the draft process. Dan Campbell will get a look at a lot of the guys who will be picked in the upcoming draft, so that's big for the coaching staff right there.
Awesome job, Adrian. That's some important Lions news. Pete, stay safe out there in a freezing cold Penn State.
Brutal.
It is brutal. It's brutal here too. We could.
I'm sure.
We'll have the picks on Thursday. We hope that you're here, Adrian. Tell everybody goodbye.
All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Look at that.